Y'all got sound now?
How about now?
Y'all know how we do. We're late with stuff. We don't believe in using technology correctly.
We've been talking a whole 4 minutes and no sound.
Hey, but you know what? That's fine because that was a pre-show anyway, so I don't need to hear all that. Because the stuff we were saying maybe wasn't great anyway. So I'm fine with not having
Ray K says, how long do you think it'll take them to notice that there's no sound? Hopefully, we just did.
Hopefully, it'll come in eventually.
Yep.
It's popping up on the thing.
I see it now.
Yeah, so there's sound in there.
Kind of my fault because I never looked up from answering these comments because, again, screw you because Blokey is blowing up.
I mean, it's what we talked about before, right? This is all put together with a prayer and some duct tape.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
Spit, prayer, duct tape.
But we're talking about a new
close this down. I'm stealing all of this.
And improved, or maybe not improved, Nintendo Switch. Higher price tag with some new features in it, but not the features people wanted. Not the features I wanted. And yeah.
So, this came out this week.
Yeah, 3 days ago, something like that. Nintendo had a new commercial for a new Switch.
Oh, there's a commercial for it?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not see that.
I say commercial, but it was a trailer thing that I saw like on IGN, so I don't know if it actually went on big screen TVs anywhere, but yeah. $350. Comes with an OLED screen, 7-inch OLED screen, which is bigger than the screen they have now.
How big is that screen?
I don't know, not 7 inches, whatever. And also a wider kickstand. Because this is the kickstand
that's the thing
Now that's kind of cool because this thing is, now to be fair, I don't really use it like that, but I've never felt like this thing was going to break as it doesn't work right there, but whatever.
Well, you don't have it on a flat surface, sir.
That's why I got this stand that came with a case.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
It seems a lot of people are speculating that this update is made for people who play it on the go more. It's not made for people who have the dock and play it at home. So is that a fair assessment?
Maybe, but the thing is, I don't know what the stats are, and we can do a straw poll for people who are in the chat. But let me know for the people who do have Switches. Do you play them on a TV or in your hands or whatever? Because I mostly play mine on a TV.
Really?
The only time, yeah.
You don't play it on the go a lot?
Not anymore. The only time I do it is when I'm at, I guess my mistress's house. So she's gonna love me calling her my mistress. But anyway, when I'm at her house and she's playing her Switch on the TV, I'll play mine in hand.
Oh, you both have one?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the reason why this seems to be a disappointment is there was a report from Bloomberg that said that there was a new Switch, a new version of the Switch coming. And speculation was, I hadn't read the report, because I didn't know that it was from Bloomberg, because that a lot of people, when they say Bloomberg, it gives the speculation weight.
It's from Fryer,
yeah,
who now works for Bloomberg, who used to be Kotaku, but yeah.
So the report was a new version of the Switch is coming. Mm-hmm. In the report, did it say it was basically a Switch Pro? Did he speculate, or did he just say an updated version?
He wasn't the only one, because I feel like Jeff Grubb from GameSpeak probably did it too, but a lot of people who are very knowledgeable about these things and are able to break these things before the official word comes out, everybody was kind of corroborating, saying it was going to be some type of 4K Switch. Nobody knew the exact specifications, but they thought once you docked it, it would allow you to display a Switch with 4K, which is what everybody thought was coming, because with the new PlayStation, new Xbox out now, they kind of need something, because the Switch was never going to be as powerful as those new systems, but at least if you could display 4K graphics, people could hopefully port down and get you something comparable to it. That ain't happening.
Well, when you say port down, what do you mean? Because the Switch is basically the same price. This Switch is the same price as the Xbox Series XS, or what do you call it? The white one, the digital.
Is it $299?
It's $350.
Wait, which Switch? Because this Switch is not $350.
The new one is $350.
Yes.
It's a $50 upgrade. Yes. $50 price point.
Yes.
Which separates this Switch from the new one that is coming out.
Right.
So a Xbox Series S.
Series S is $299, I think. Yeah, $299, $399, $499. Yeah, so I mean it's kind of wild to think.
And so not an extra battery life.
It is. I think it's 9-ish hours. I think what they're saying, which is comparable to what the newest Switch does.
According to Brian Gamer, he says it's 6.5 is this size screen.
Okay, cool.
OLED, is the new one.
Yeah.
It has a. I heard it has an Ethernet port at the back of it.
So not on the Switch, but on the dock that
dock.
you put it in, there is actually now a dedicated Ethernet port, because the other one you would need to buy a dongle to do Ethernet. It usually does wireless. So that's cool. All good stuff that probably should have been in the original to begin with. But it's interesting because for forever Nintendo has said we're not working on anything new. There is no Switch Pro or whatever. And to be fair, they're still not calling this a Switch Pro. I think they just call this the OLED Switch. So we still could get a new Switch Pro, possibly.
Question, because you're out of everybody that I know, you were more the Nintendo expert.
Yeah.
You ran a GameStop.
I mean, I guess I did. I was Pikachu, but yeah, I actually was a store manager, so sure. Yeah.
So Ryan Porter asked, so do you think Nintendo is passing on the console war? I'm going to say yes and no. Yes, that they're passing on the console war, that they're not in the arms race of biggest, most powerful system ever.
And to be fair, they haven't been in that for years.
Two, I say yes because their console / handheld is the number one selling game device.
Yeah.
In North America.
Yeah. And it's been that way for months.
Not months, since it debuted.
Yeah, I guess it was.
So at the end of the day, yes, they are not in the console war as far as we're not in the arms race like the Cold War or like the nuclear arms race that the U.S. and the Soviet Union were, which pick and choose who you want to be, Russia and whatever. They're still producing a system. It's just not. They're not in the whole. We have all of this. They're going in a different direction.
Okay.
But
so part of the straw poll, Brian Gamer says he plays his 90% of the time docked. Rayshawn K says his daughter plays handheld. He plays on TV, but his daughter plays the handheld. Okay.
Yep. So I phrase this because I watched and I listened to a couple other people. Nintendo never really has upgraded a system before. In other words, as a pro system, have they?
I mean, you can debate it because they definitely do remodels of systems.
But it's
like
still,
you can get so many.
But it's still, the internal guts are still the same.
For the consoles, yes. For handhelds, no, because the DS, which is weird because they had so many versions of DS. They had the DS Fat, DS Lite, DSi, 3DS. And they were all part of the DS line that upgraded the processor in it, but they kind of named it new things. So it's weird.
That's my question because when they released the Game Boy Advance, there was a fat Game Boy Advance, and then they released a new Game Boy Advance,
Advance SP,
which is basically the same thing. The guts, the internal processor was still the same. They cosmetically they have updated their handhelds tons of times and given you a different variety, but most of the time when they don't update and have a mid-generation upgrade in any of their systems.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
So I guess my question is, what made people think they were going to change this time? Kind of to Ryan Porter's point, the reason why I bring that up is because he's asking, is Nintendo passing on the console war? It seems to me they've always passed on the console war as far as like, except for when they were going at Sega.
Yeah.
Since, would you say the GameCube?
Well, no, I'd probably say since the Wii. Because the GameCube...
That's exactly what DC
says. Yeah, the GameCube was powerful enough. I think a lot of things kind of held that back. But I mean, it was comparable to a PlayStation 2, I think, in terms of power. Maybe not an Xbox, when Xbox was the most powerful thing at the time. But
so hold on. So let's backtrack. So when the GameCube came out, we had GameCube, PS2, and Xbox. Are you sure the GameCube was on par with the PS2?
Yeah.
Let's look up those specs.
Yeah, I feel confident in that.
As you talk, let's look at the specs for... Only reason why I ask is because I feel like Nintendo has been out of the console war for a long time. They like DC,
like the mainstream or whatever.
Kind of like Nintendo is what Nintendo does what Nintendo does.
Yeah.
And they march to the beat of their own drum, whereas everybody else is like, we must have this, we have this, and Nintendo's like, hey man, you want to wear a headset? Like Nintendo's literally been like, hey man, what you want to do today? You want to play with Joy-Cons? We got that.
Yeah.
So my question is, why did everyone think, when their modus operandi has always been to just run this system to its completion, that they thought that they were going to get? And it's only been out 3 years, correct?
2017, so this is year 4.
Year 4. Why did they think they were going to get a Switch Pro?
I think there are a couple of very solid reasons why you would believe that. One, the people who were talking about these things they're known to break stuff in the past and be right about it. Two, even if they were to get a Switch Pro, it still wasn't going to be on par with a PlayStation 5 or even a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
No.
So the idea that they were upgrading their own system still made sense, because it's not like it's a super leap in graphics. They were just making so that's 4K possible. So that maybe that means you're adding something to the dock to make it output to 4K. Maybe do something where they super sample it so that it's not true 4K, but it upscales it to 4K. So I mean, there were workarounds that Nintendo could use to still get you a 4K product without all the guts and all the internals in it.
So go back to something that you said. Everybody else, I guess that's where I'm kind of stuck at. Everybody else is doing a mid-grade to allow the console to extend its generation. Nintendo's system is, we're on year 4. They've already announced X amount of games, so we know they're not killing this system off anytime soon.
Sure.
It's one of the most popular systems ever.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a hybrid. It's almost like it's a hybrid car. Like, you have electric cars and you have gas, and this is a hybrid where it's like, hey, we're hybrid, we can do electric and gas. But to me, it still doesn't seem, I don't understand why people thought, because I thought so too, until I started looking at the data and saying, they don't do that. So, and two,
to be fair, go ahead.
And would it, if they had done it, would they have alienated a subscriber base? Two things. Would they have alienated a subscriber base to have a faster, better system versus the people who already invested and had this system? And two, is it smart not to make a 4K or a Switch Pro, considering we can't get enough of the consoles for next generation out? Is it a two-part question? I'm sorry.
So a lot of that is like we've saying this entire time, even the 4 minutes you guys didn't hear. Nintendo marches to its own beat. Nintendo has never said that they were making enough.
And that's the thing,
it's all on us.
Yeah,
we did it.
We did it. Did we do this to ourselves?
For sure.
Okay.
And I think we do that a lot. As
I mean, I do.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what we do in pop culture anyway. We kind of hype ourselves up. Nintendo has never said they were going to do that. Nintendo hasn't done it in the past. And when people have asked them about a 4K or whatever system, they're like, we're not focused on that right now. So they never did it. That's on us. I'll take that. Having said that, I think it is okay to assume that there are going to be some type of new internal stuff, just because, again, they're not fully going over to a PS5 and an Xbox Series console. They're just slightly upgrading things. I don't think it's unreasonable to assume you're going to get a better processor, because there are games that the system has now that chug. You can have a lot of frame rate issues when you're playing stuff in portable mode on there. For like even 2017 when the system came out, Breath of the Wild can chug at time frame rate wise. The newest whatever the Hyrule Warriors game can chug. It chugs sometimes in dock mode and in handheld mode.
What causes that? And Ryan Porter, to answer your question, I believe the new Switch comes out, or the OLED Switch comes out in October.
I think October 8th, maybe.
Yeah. Because I think, is it Metroid comes out at that same month?
That I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure this new system comes out.
And it's called Metroid Dread.
I think so. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think when this thing was made, we knew it was underpowered.
You're right.
But the thing about it is, Nintendo has never been known for being powerful. You know, getting past the GameCube, they're always about that art direction. They're always about the artistic vision.
Yeah, they're about the gameplay.
Right. A game like, and we've talked about it before, a game like Super Mario Kart 8 looks incredible now, even though it's so many years old, because of the art direction, how things look. Breath of the Wild still looks incredible because of the art direction, not necessarily how powerful the system is. So Nintendo has kind of always played to that strength of being top-notch in gameplay, being top-notch in artistic in their art department, or in their the art style for the games. But they need to do something because people continue to port these games like Witcher. You can play a version of Witcher 3 on the Switch.
Yeah.
It ain't great, but you can play a version of it.
Crysis 3 is coming to the Switch.
It might already be out, right? I think Crysis
yeah.
Or what is the game? Doom and Doom Eternal. I don't know if Doom Eternal is, but Doom 2016 is on the Switch. Doesn't look great, but you can play it handheld. And so I mean that's.
So hold on, when you say it doesn't look great,
it don't look like you're playing on Xbox.
But see, this is my question: are you that? So you're comparing it to the Xbox and not just looking at it and saying does it look good for what it is on?
Yeah, sure. I played it on a portable. I think it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, because again, I'm like I've said, I still got a 1080p TV. I don't have a 4K TV yet. So I mean, to me, playing it on the Switch is fine.
That's I guess my big question is, what is next for Nintendo? Because right now it seems as if they're just chugging along, being fine.
Here's the question. And this is another rumor that we're never probably will get confirmed. Has the chip shortage also affected Nintendo, and maybe that's why we're not getting a souped up 4K thing?
But that's why
nobody got chips.
But see, that's what I brought up. That was part of my two-part question. Did we do this to ourselves? And the Nintendo's being that very methodical, stingy company that you talked about, where they only release X amount of systems at a certain period of time.
Sure.
They do not like backstock. They want to sell out. Mm-hmm. They have literally contributed to the scalper market because they have made systems and said, we're not making anymore. Mm-hmm. And then they sell out. And then because Nintendo's the reason why the Nintendo Classic, the SNES Classic, was thousands of dollars for a while because Nintendo was like, we're only making 30 of these. Yeah. So get them while you can. Because I bought the first one. I bought it for my wife. She said she didn't want it. She didn't care because she found out how much they made. We flipped it. No. I bought her another one. Mm-hmm. And she kept that one because she was like, I can't make any money off of this.
Not for the sentimental value playing the game.
No,
it ain't worth nothing now. I guess
I literally came. I was like, because we were at work, we were all on our work computers, and it dropped. And I was like, I went to Amazon, I bought it. Did you get one at that time? Or?
I couldn't get one.
And I remember Laura, who used to work here.
Yeah, she tried to get one.
Yeah. And I luckily got one. I hit her up, and I was like, "Yo, I got you something." And she was like, "What is it?" And I told her, and she was like, "On eBay, it's selling for."
Yeah.
And I wanted to be like, bish.
Right.
I'm trying, like,
I didn't get it for them. I got it for you.
But again, this is the person who thinks monetarily. Mm-hmm. She's like, it's Nintendo. She knows that we can flip this stuff. Mm-hmm. So it is that their business model to say they have been decent enough and smart enough to see this chip shortage coming and saying it's going to take too long for us to get this together. Let's wait until the supply line, because we have run stories that it takes months for a supply line to change once you've decided. So the super processors that they were making, they decided to switch and make stuff for things for the home, laptops, refrigerators, all that stuff.
Aren't there like lots of cars somewhere that are just sitting because they don't have the chips?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we ran a story this past week. Ford, quite a few car companies are cutting back on their cars that they're producing because they're like, there's no need for us to make this because we can't sell them. We can't push them out. Mm-hmm. So to me, it seems like Nintendo was smart to say, you know what? Give them a better screen.
Ryan Porter, he says, okay, let's get down to the nitty gritty. When are we expecting this? Expecting what? Are you talking about an actual upgraded thing?
So I thought he meant the actual release of the new OLED Switch, which we said was October the 8th.
Yeah.
It could be a Switch Pro, which I'm going to be honest with you. I don't see an announcement of a Switch Pro anytime this year after they just did this.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like you said, they continue to be number one. If you are, Nintendo doesn't really make a new thing, or
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right, and I'm sure they're working on whatever the new system's going to be, but they have no reason to announce it yet because this thing's still selling gangbusters. So.
I mean, so let me ask you this because may I? I'm going to pick it up.
Take it up.
So it's light.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to work.
Yeah,
the way it still works. The way. Mm-hmm. What would you like to see? And I ask you guys who have a Switch, what do you want to see from an updated Switch? If Nintendo is listening friend of the show, Nintendo.
Yeah.
If they're listening,
Doug Bowser, come on, anytime.
Reggie Fils-Aimé, come on down.
Yeah, you don't work there anymore, but we'll still talk to you.
We'll still talk to you.
I want to talk to you about Pizza Hut.
I want to talk to
You used to work
you
at Pizza
about
Hut.
being on the board for GameStop.
Oh, yeah.
What do you want to see?
Better battery life.
Okay.
A better processor so that games run smoothly on the system. Probably better cooling in there, because sometimes for newer games you can definitely hear your Switch kind of churning with the fan on if you're playing it in handheld mode. And the biggest thing that still isn't fixed, and it's probably still messed up. I ain't worried about that.
Really?
I'm worried about the Joy-Con issues.
So the Joy-Con. So for those
Joy-Con
people,
drift.
For those of people who don't know, explain the big problem, because they got sued over that.
Yeah, and I don't know if they settled or what, but essentially the way their controllers are assembled, there's tendency for like particles and dust and whatever to get inside of the tracking pad on your analog sticks, and that can cause the sensor to read that the motion is activated. So it means it's automatically moving you in a direction even though you're not touching anything, because sometimes whether it's dust or skin particles or whatever just hits that contact sensor and activates it, so it's think you're pushing up when you're really not. Joy-Con drift isn't only an issue for Nintendo. I think it's also an issue for some people for PlayStation 5s.
I have experienced it on an old version of my PS4, because I had the first PS4. It wore down on the black PS4 controller, so I did have that issue for that.
Yeah. But Nintendo's had it on such a massive scale that there's a class action lawsuit against them. And again, I don't know if they've settled or if that's still in court right now. But yeah, everybody's suing about that issue. It's an issue that they really haven't fixed. And I think the only option is probably you can send your Joy-Con to them to fix it. I don't know if that fixes it permanently or what, but you can send it to them or use a Nintendo Pro controller, Nintendo Switch Pro controller.
And that's the big one, yeah.
Yeah, that's the bigger one, and I haven't had an issue with Joy-Con drift on that. So I think it's just the way it's constructed. Rayshawn K says 256 gigabyte internal space and better Bluetooth support. Yeah, that would be better to have a larger hard drive in there. I have a little micro memory card in there for I think it's 400 gigs or something to be able to play other games. But having an actual internal memory larger than what it came with might have been like 32 gigabytes or something small, something stupid. But yeah.
And I think they upgraded to 64.
I don't know about that. Maybe. But yeah. But larger memory would be great, and having Bluetooth would probably be helpful as well. Me personally, that doesn't matter to me, but I know that is a big thing for people.
Why is it a big thing for people?
I think it's just ease of access because so many things use Bluetooth now, right?
I'm asking because I don't have one, so I'm asking from a wish list from everybody who actually does have one and use one. What would you use a Bluetooth for?
I think it's for hooking up more peripherals to it, whether it's like headsets or whatever that's going to be. It's just easier to connect the two together.
Here's my big question. And it kind of goes back to, again, what the chat asked. How is the online support and the store? Because one of the things that I like for my PS5, and that I use it sometimes, quite often, honestly, I use all the TV apps, Hulu, Netflix, HBO Max.
So, I'm pretty sure Nintendo still only has Hulu on there. All the other apps aren't on the Nintendo Switch.
And which apps are?
Only Hulu.
Really?
Yeah. At last check, I don't think the other ones have ever made it. Let me know if I'm wrong.
So no Amazon Prime?
I don't think so.
No HBO Max? No Netflix?
Nope.
YouTube?
No.
No Voodoo?
Nope. Nintendo said they wanted it to be a game machine, and they said, well, to be fair, that's what they wanted.
Okay. It's interesting that when I asked you, you did not bring that up. That's why I brought it up.
I forgot that. But now that you said, I forgot because I never think about going into it because that was a big issue when it first came out that they weren't putting any apps on there, and it was weird because Hulu got on there. Nobody really knows how Hulu got on there, but I think they were trying to course correct from the Wii U because the Wii U had so many apps that you could download. They were really trying to be an entertainment thing, and they had that second screen experience, which kind of bogged down the OS and made everything slower. So I guess they said, let's not put so many apps on there that it slows everything down. Let's make it pretty much just a gaming system.
for it to be just a gaming system, I get that, and who am I to question Nintendo's business practices, because they seem to be doing fine without my input, and without my dollars. Would it be a better system if they did have that, if they did have those apps? Because for some people, this is the only system that they have. And for a younger generation, I'm a little older. I realize that people call me sir all the time, and I look around and I'm like, oh shit, that's
they're talking to me.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, they did that today in the store, and they were like, you have a good day, sir. And I was like, I'm not. Oh yeah, hurt my feelings. We like stuff. Mm-hmm. For those people who are under 30 in the chat, I don't know how many of you there are. Do you have stuff? Because I'm guessing a younger generation does not accumulate these things. So would it make sense, since more people of a younger age have a Switch, to do those things?
It's so weird, right? Because what are the metrics? I mean, clearly the metrics say whatever they're doing is working. Because like we said, they're number one. But it's interesting you bring that up. What if they only had that as a system? But they probably still have Fire Sticks and Rokus and stuff, so maybe they're worried they're getting all their stuff on there.
Well, my question is, could you? Because then, in an updated Switch, because this is what I would want if I was going to buy a Switch. Rayshawn K says, "I'm watching you on your Series X." That's what I was about to get to. Thank you, Rayshawn K. Can you do it to the point where you could actually take this on the go, not playing a game, and stream HBO Max, or see what I'm saying? Like, get to that point where you could do that. Is that a possibility? Could they?
I wonder also like what the Wi-Fi adapter and stuff inside the system is, how strong it is. I wonder if they thought, because what the thing that Nintendo does is, the reason why usually their systems are cheaper than everybody else's is they don't necessarily go for the best parts, like the top of the line parts. They go for parts that are very cost effective for them.
Middle of the road. They're like,
right,
we can afford this and make money.
Right. That's why the markup on them is not as much, because they're pretty much selling it at cost or whatever, and they pick the parts like that on purpose. So I wonder if whatever the Wi-Fi adapter in there is like probably a middle of the road one. Maybe you're not going to be able to stream that well on it, and so maybe they're like, oh, let's not put that on the system because it's not going to work.
Because it's better to not have it and then have people complain versus have it and it works like crap.
Right.
See, and
because people already do that on their online system. Their online system isn't good.
And see, that's another thing that I was wondering about, because I was like, it doesn't make sense, but then again, it probably does. Don't add any of that stuff to it. People aren't expecting it. It's just a gaming console.
Sure.
But it also, to me, I really, and I know we'll never get this, what I would really love for a company to say and come out with the data and say, look, this is the reason why we made it this way. Because we realized, like you said, enough people have Rokus, Fire Sticks, other things that we decided it made more sense for us to not do this. Mm-hmm. Almost like the AMA thing that you said. Ask me anything, and somebody's like really asked Nintendo some really pointed questions to get answers to this, because it seems to be this all started because of speculation.
Yeah. And speculation will continue to do whatever it needs to do to make all that stuff happen. What's this in here? Oh, that's plastic.
So, if they went 4K and they did a Switch Pro, could you see them upgrading and allowing certain apps onto the Switch for that?
I don't know, because Nintendo definitely wants to just be a game system. I feel like they just want to focus on games. They're not necessarily worried about apps. They haven't really announced any major partnerships like that, except for game stuff.
Excuse me.
I feel like they just want to focus on games and maybe get a 4K system that maybe comes out 2-3 years down the road. Because some of the newer games that were shown in E3 this year, people are like, this looks really good. What system is this coming for? That also kind of led to speculation. It must be a new Switch. Like the new Rayman Rabbids game, Starshine, or Shine of Hope, I don't know, whatever it is. It has a better look than the first Rayman Rabbids, Rabbids and Mario game that came out. And people were speculating,
could it just be a more polished,
people have maybe learned to use the system more, so they've learned to get the most out of the hardware.
So here's what I'm asking, and I guess this is what I'm trying to get at, is because not what I'm trying to get at. So David Cooper asks, adding all those features could be done. How much are you willing to pay for a future Switch? And that's, I guess, my question.
I'll pay what I paid for this, $299.
Really? You wouldn't pay?
The people who have followed us long enough know 2 weeks ago I was finally able to get an Xbox Series X. I haven't even opened it.
Really?
No, I'm still using my Xbox One X.
Well, I mean, granted, there's nothing that came out that would make you hook it up, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a 4K TV. I'm happy that I have it just because I wanted it, but I'm not using it yet.
See, I guess this is
I
my
don't
question.
necessarily need to have the newest and greatest Switch.
So, this is $300. The OLED Switch is going to be $350. You just said that they make their products, and do we know whether or not Nintendo actually makes a profit on their systems versus?
Oh yeah.
So they make a profit on their systems.
Yeah.
We know Sony and Microsoft do not. They make most of their money on games and all
subscriptions and all that stuff.
All that other stuff. Is it because they know that they would not make their projections say we would have to charge X amount of money for this and we would lose money on a Switch Pro?
Could be.
So, do you think there is a better, not a better Switch, a new system coming out? Because you just said Breath of the Wild was buggy on the original.
Well, not buggy in terms of
it lagged.
Yeah, like every once in a while I kind of stutter with frame rate.
And
I feel like they probably, like we said with the new Rabbids and Mario game, Nintendo, more than anybody else, would know how their system works better than anybody else. So they probably have a better handle on the system from 2017 to 22, whenever the new Breath of the Wild comes out, whatever it's going to be called, comes out. So maybe they've streamlined the process and they've gotten rid of some of that stuff.
I guess my question is, or do you think that was made for a better system? Because you said in 3 years down the road, they could come out with a new system. We didn't see Breath of the Wild 2.
What do you mean?
In other words, there's no release date for it. There's no.
Yeah.
So,
we saw a trailer, but we
saw a
don't
trailer.
know. Yeah.
And what were so you mentioned you got some of the games that you wanted for Nintendo, but there were a lot of games that you mentioned that we did not see. Is that the reason why we didn't see them? Because they're waiting to. Are they going to pair it with a brand new system?
It's weird with Nintendo. I mean, it's weird with any game company, right? But I think it's weird with Nintendo, the way they will structure when they release games. I think, and it kind of goes back to what you said earlier, by them announcing this OLED Switch, I don't think we're going to see a new Switch for a while. That isn't how Nintendo works, to announce something and then
a year later.
Yeah, here's another thing. That's just. And people who know better, please inform us. But I don't think Nintendo works like that in terms of announcing a new revision every year.
So, to me, the speculation should start that there's not going to be a Switch Pro. There's going to be a new system,
probably.
And what would that system look like? Because we know that they're making killer in the handheld.
Yeah.
Could it be a brand new? It uses some of the same architecture as the Switch, but this is an upgraded version. Because didn't the Wii U used to be able to play Wii games?
The Wii U does play Wii games, yeah.
So could we be looking at that?
Maybe. Nintendo has really loved the cartridge format for so long. They've only really done discs starting with GameCube, Wii, and Wii U, and then went back to cartridges because it's generally faster.
Are those cartridges, or to me those are like SD cards?
That's fine either
Okay.
way, but it's generally faster to load off of a card than it is a physical or CD or whatever. Just the way that the drive works. So I could see them, whatever the Switch 2 is going to be. Hopefully they finally fix the issue with the Joy-Con thing, the Joy-Con drift, because again, I think what they figured out was it comes down to how the Joy-Cons are constructed. So if they spend more R&D or more research into figuring out how to make a better Joy-Con, you get your Joy-Con 2 on whatever the new Switch 2 is going to be. You get a bigger screen, probably OLED screen to stick with whatever the OLED Switch is doing, faster processor, Bluetooth, all that stuff. And maybe they charge $399 for it, which seems expensive for them, but that would still be under PS5. That'd be the same price as the disc-less version, but $100 cheaper than the one with the disc, and $100 cheaper than Series X.
I put it on a credit card and paid it off. I don't know how much I paid.
There we go. Yeah.
Well, I put it on the credit card. The wife paid it off.
Yeah.
Just took the money out of my account.
Yeah.
The reason why I asked that is because this has not come down in price.
No.
And they're charging $50 more for the new one.
Mm-hmm.
They're making their money, so it doesn't make sense for them to because why, if a new one comes out and it doesn't have, like, to me, why would I buy and spend $350 for a Switch OLED when I can spend that much money and get an Xbox Series X, S, whatever it's called? To me, that seems a smarter buy, because
although the question will be is, are the games going to be enticing enough to make you get the Switch? Because maybe you still aren't able to find a PlayStation 5 or a Xbox Series, but maybe you can find the Nintendos.
But see, I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out, because what games that Nintendo has, franchises that they have that you have not seen.
Which franchises do I want to come back?
Yeah, in other words, that have been rumored, because everybody was all excited about the Metroid game, but it's not the Metroid game everybody wanted.
Yeah, Metroid Prime 4 it is probably.
See,
I won't say it's in development hell, because they came out instead and said either last year, probably the year before, they were restarting it because they didn't like where the direction was going. So I'm not expecting to see that for a while. Seeing that footage for Breath of the Wild has me excited. There's a new Advance Wars coming out, which has me excited. I'm trying to think of what.
But my question goes back to you when you said those games. Some of those games, Hyrule Warrior, Breath of the Wild, frame rate, it did drop out. Mm-hmm. So is it that they are not trying to make those games for this system? In other words, I guess Nintendo works very well with pairing a system release with a new game.
Sure.
Breath of the Wild came out, and that's what helped propel this system. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. Nintendo sells because it's Nintendo. But let's not kid ourselves to say a new Zelda game helped sell that system.
Sure.
So what would be the game that you could see on a new system, because as it stands, we're not getting a Switch Pro.
I think a big question is, like, where's Super Mario Odyssey 2?
And have we seen that?
No, and Nintendo is, as great as they are and as much money as they make, they're definitely behind when it comes to a lot of things, especially online infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Like, their DLC pricing structure is weird and always has been. They're kind of like always behind, like Sony and Microsoft, which is what they do. People thought, or at least I thought, once Odyssey was sold so well, there was an idea that they would release DLC packs of new planets you could go to get new moons and everything. They never did that. We thought they were going to release new board levels for Super Mario Party for Switch. They never did that. Instead, they're bringing a compilation of like 3 and 4 and 5 Mario parties into one new Super Mario Party for Switch. So, I would like to know, where is Super Mario Odyssey 2? And would that come on a new Switch 2 in a couple
How
years?
does Smash Brothers play on this?
Plays good.
So there's no lag, there's no...
like, if you're playing everybody's local, it's fine. If you're playing online, you're going to run into issues. But again, that's more Nintendo's online infrastructure, not necessarily the CPU of the system.
Because the more we're talking, the more I get the feeling, and the more I read up on this. To me, it seems like Nintendo's not going to do a Switch Pro. They're just going to do a whole new system. Yeah. And it seems like those games they would have brought to a Switch with an updated Switch. I think the pandemic I'm speculating here, and this is what we do here. The pandemic with the chip shortage said, you know what? Let's not even do it. Mm-hmm. And Rayshawn Case has a new Mario Kart game. Has a Mario Kart come out on this system?
So the Mario Kart 8 came out, but that was essentially a souped up version of the one that came out for the Wii U. And the game runs great. It looks great, but
it's not a new game.
Right. It had already come out on the Wii U, and they released
just
it for
upgraded
the Switch.
It. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kind of same thing with Smash Brothers. Now, granted, more characters have come out, but like the basic engine was the same Smash Brothers from Ultimate, I believe. That might be
Ultimate All Stars.
No. The Ultimate Smash Brothers for Wii U. Yeah.
So we don't have. So on this system, the number one selling system, we don't have a new Breath of the Wild. We don't have a Metroid game. Mm-hmm. We don't have Super Mario Odyssey 2. Mm-hmm. We don't, what's another one you said we don't have that are like core Nintendo games?
It's hard to say anymore, because some of them coming out. Like, I would be happy for an F-Zero game, but Nintendo's been real I think the last F-Zero game proper might have been on GameCube, which was fun, but I kind of miss an F-Zero game, a futuristic, kind of like a Jet Moto style, or not Jet Moto, Wipeout Fusion for PlayStation, their version for Nintendo Switch.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Because when you said that, that's what got me thinking that Nintendo is not doing this, man. Like it got me. I was like, we did this to ourselves. Do we look like our T-shirts? Oh, I'm definitely a trash panda.
I mean, I wish I was a blue bomber with rings around himself.
You don't deserve to be a blue bomber.
Don't do that.
The way you talk about Sonic.
I do have a little portly tummy, and Sonic has a little portly tummy, so I'll go with that. But other than that, no, I don't know if I look like a blue hedgehog.
So I am a trash panda. We saw this shirt and we went to a taco. Anyway,
Taqueria?
no, it's Surefire Tacos.
Oh, okay.
Downtown. We went there, and next to it there's Urban Outfitters. So we had just had tacos. We went to the store, and Katie goes, "That's you." And she was like,
Katie's the best.
She's like, "You're a trash panda," and I was like, one, I do like raccoons, and I wish I had one, and I do want to domesticate one.
Okay.
I've always wanted a raccoon. I thought they were so cool.
So when you saw James Gunn with his raccoon, you were just losing it.
Dude, I was like,
That's what I want.
That's the dream.
Okay, cool.
The dream to do whatever you want and have a raccoon do it with you.
Okay.
Because they look like little people. So Katie was like, "You are a trash panda," and we just ate tacos, and she was like, "That's you." So that's
okay. Cool. Yeah. What else you want to talk about?
We're at the end, man.
Into what?
The end of the road.
Are we?
I mean, this is the last one we get to do together like this.
Yeah, it's so weird, right? Like, I'm gonna be in Charlotte on Monday.
Yeah.
Working.
Yeah, because you were dummy and didn't take like time off to like get used to the fact that
Hey
you
man,
got a
what
new
can I
job.
say? When you love what you do, man, you just work.
I almost said something.
I know you're about to be like, oh no, he's getting blue on the last official episode.
Ray Sean K says, "Is anyone going to see Black Widow this weekend?" Ray Sean K, I posed that question to the community on our community page. Oh, it's called community. I'm going to try to see it Sunday. You saw it this morning.
I saw Black Widow this morning. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a decent movie. It's not the best Marvel movie. It's not the worst Marvel movie. Scarlett Johansson does a great performance. Everybody does a really good performance, I think. No spoilers, but based on... no spoilers. It's just, I saw something, I was like, oh, well dang. And it was exactly what I thought was going to happen. And you guys know, I always say I'm a dummy when it comes to movies like that, and they can usually write them better. Mm-hmm. And I just saw what was going to happen a mile away. I usually don't catch that like you would. Mm-hmm. Other than that, it's fine.
I think the only reason why I catch stuff is because I'm very untrusting.
Okay,
I'm very like leery of everything, and I'm like looking for the next. How are you going to trick me into this?
Got it. Yeah.
D. Steezel says I'm watching at the crib. D. Steezel,
so you paying the $30, bro?
I mean, for some people, it's think about it. And this is the thing I thought that would, to me, is smart. For those people who live in a major city, $30 is cheap.
Sure.
Parking, gas, a weekend. If you have kids, Ray Sean K said so himself. If you've got kids and you're taking 4 kids to the movie theater right now, in the middle of a pandemic, it's better to see. If you're single, it doesn't make sense. But even if you're single, call 8 friends and be like, "Hey, we go watch this at my house."
Well, even if you're single, you do get to drown out the noise of other people talking. I had some very inconsiderate people sitting behind me, and I'm usually a calm, docile guy.
You really are.
I had to touch people like, "Yo, y'all gotta chill," and they were cool.
Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe they were just excited, and maybe they weren't used to being back out in the field talking to people, but they weren't really whispering. They were just like talking normal voices through the movie. It's like, what are you doing?
But this is another thing. I wonder, did they just think that they were in there by themselves?
Who knows?
Because this is something that I've noticed before too. We have talked about this at work. People don't know how to act because they've been inside for so long.
Yeah.
And they haven't been interacting. We saw this during the NBA playoff series where people were throwing stuff at Kyrie Irving. Granted, I probably would have thrown something at Kyrie Irving too if I saw him, but that's just me.
Right.
But also, I'm not going to throw anything at Kyrie Irving because I know he can take me. Because he's in shape and I look like a trash panda.
Yeah.
But I wonder, people do not know how to act? And getting back out there, is there going to be this like where people are going to have to be adults in the room and be like, you can't act like that?
Mm-hmm. And so the 2 people behind me, like once I asked them to calm down and be quiet, they were cool. They were cool. There weren't really issues, but there were a bunch of kids in the theater. At least 3 different families each had 3 different kids with them. It was weird. Mm-hmm. One family had 4 kids, another family had 3 kids, another family had 3 kids. I guess they were all just. It's a summer movie, right? You're trying to get back in the theater.
But we have seen that for ourselves. Mm-hmm. There is no. During the summer times, that's what people do. They take their kids to the movies.
Sure.
Because when we would go to matinees in the morning, we would see either families with kids, mm-hmm. moms, bringing their kids, or we would see some older people who are retired, and that's when they go saw a movie.
Yeah.
David Cooper says, still no open theaters here, and as I'm still COVID-19 unemployed, 30 is too much. I'm looking
that $30 though is really that peace of mind of being able to watch it, pause it, do whatever you want, and not have distractions. Because again, that first 15 minutes of the movie were kind of distracting for me, and then I was able to get into it.
Damon Hernandez says 30 wasn't worth it for Mulan. What the hell makes you think 30 is worth for Black Widow? Disney thinks that I'm really interested to see if this works.
Yeah.
I still think 30 is too much.
It is.
20, you might have got me. Mm-hmm. For Black Widow, you'd have got me. Mm-hmm. Because I could have seen that this morning. I could have I'd put the baby to bed because it'll come out, and it came out at Thursday night at 3 a.m. Mm-hmm. I would have taken a Red Bull because I can't hang like I used to.
Sure.
I'd have popped that Red Bull. I'd have stayed up and watched it. I'd have called the babysitter and said, hey, I need you to come at 8. This is gonna be a long day.
Yeah.
I would have done it. I can't do it at 30. I can't justify it at 30, especially because my wife's gonna be asking me questions, and I'll be like, "Really?
Yeah.
Don't you got something to do?"
Yeah. There are some things in the movie that were like, oh, interesting. Mm-hmm. I don't want to spoil them.
But let me ask you this: mm-hmm. What's a better movie? And I know what you're gonna say, but I still want to hear it. Black Widow. Mm-hmm. Fast 9. Yeah.
A better movie?
Yeah.
What are the characteristics for better?
I'm asking you.
A more coherent movie? If you mean a more coherent movie, I'd say Black Widow all day.
Which movie do you have more fun in? Fast 9.
I don't know.
Really?
I told you from my review, man. Fast 9. I was like,
there are a lot of people who are on your side.
There's too much.
I know you don't read the comments, but go look at our comments on Fast 9. There were a lot of people who were on your side. Baby Toshiro.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I can't remember this, but I know there were quite a few people who were on your side who were like, they were missing Paul Walker.
Yeah.
And they felt like the fact that Dom is kind of the dominant person that we're focusing on, without the balance of The Rock, it was an uneven movie.
We talked about, or at least I talked about, I felt like some of the family aspect was missing out of the family of Fast and Furious for Fast 9. Mm-hmm. Black Widow has a good family aspect and family themes in it.
Okay.
And I was like, this is cool. And I think they hit on it. They're not preachy about it, but they hit on it enough. They're like, okay, I like this. So, I mean, the better movie, I think it's easy for me to say Black Widow. I think it's more coherent and stuff. But Fast 9 is just, I'll see Fast 10 just because I got to see what wildness they're going to do.
10 and 11.
Yeah.
Because are they splitting 10 up into 2 movies?
Oh, is that what they're doing?
I thought that was what it was.
I don't know, man.
So here's the funniest thing. Damon Hernandez, Damon Hernandez was like, would you all pay $30 for Black Widow or Space Jam 2? Neither. I'm going to pay $10 for Black Widow.
HBO Max, thank you for making your movies free as part of the system, or as part of the subscription, because I'll just watch it next week. Is it next week?
I don't know. Katie knows that.
Yeah.
So this is the thing, and I know this is going to be sacrilege because I don't care for Space Jam. Mm-hmm. And I say that because a lot of people like it's a classic. I'm going to say this right here, right now. I respect Michael Jordan as one of the greatest basketball players ever. I hate Michael Jordan.
Because he crushed your dreams?
Hell yeah, man! The rise of Michael Jordan meant the fall of the Celtics. To this day, F Jordan. I don't own none of his shoes. Man, let me tell you, he is one of the greatest players I have ever seen play. I have never had the luxury or the privilege to see him in person. Mm-hmm. I've only seen him on TV. And the things that man can do made me say, what the... Mm-hmm. But his rise was the fall of the Celtics and Lakers, and I hated it from day one. Let me tell you, I don't even like the Pistons, but let me tell you what, I cheer for them 2 championships that they won. I don't even like them. Hated every single one of them. But I tell you what, I like seeing them beat up Michael. Oh, I'm telling you right now. So I didn't give a flying. You know what I did like?
What?
I did like the Michael Jordan show with Bo Jackson and Wayne Gretzky.
That was a cool show, man.
I did. I like that cartoon.
That was a fun little show. Yeah.
I used to love Jordan dunking on Barkley in the McDonald's commercial. I used to love that. But I hated Jordan, man. When I tell you I hated Jordan, ooh.
Lovely.
Because he was so, and for this I will admit I was a hater. Because he was so good. It was just giving him the ball. So for me, call me a hater. I was never on board with Space Jam. Never was. I was like, it's all right. Because it was Jordan.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you're not wrong. It's not like the movie's great.
Yeah.
It's just fun to watch as a kid. And it was, you seen their Looney Tunes.
Y'all not going to come for Larry Bird in this chat. Kick all y'all out.
Anyway, y'all, we about to wrap up. So, yeah, this is our last, I guess, stream like this.
Yeah. We don't know how we going to do it. We know we're going to do a review of Black Widow because we kind of have to.
We don't have to do nothing.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, okay.
The people need it.
Okay, sure.
I need it.
Okay, yes, that's fine. Because I don't think I can come back in this building once I leave tonight.
Really?
Because I'm a visitor.
You know,
I mean, they'll let me in.
I mean, technically.
But like, I don't know that I can just walk around the building once I'm out and at Charlotte.
I'd let you in.
Well, let's not say that on the camera so that Rich can watch later.
Really?
Rich ain't come for us at one time like, hey, y'all sitting too close?
Okay. He still didn't remember we were still doing it because he saw me walking down here.
No, that was Scott.
No, that was Rich. Remember I told you I was like, we got 12,000 subscribers.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there we go.
I don't know. We'll figure something out. We're still trying to figure out how to work this equipment. Yeah, guys, it's the end of an era. We're going to retool, figure out how to do this. Probably do more Zoom stuff.
It's definitely going to be Zoom stuff.
Yeah, Zoom stuff because basically Michael starts on Monday, so he's got to figure out his schedule. We may end up doing stuff depending on when you go. We may try to do stuff in the morning. We know we'll probably do stuff on the weekend because it'll probably be easier.
Yeah, I'll be in town on the weekend.
Yeah, so we don't know how this goes. So I want to say, because you guys don't know the behind the scenes. Well, sometimes because I try to tell them everything.
You do tell them.
I got no secrets from y'all.
Yeah.
For me, this is our second time doing this. We tried to start the News 19 Nerds before, and we really didn't know what we were doing, and it fell flat.
Still don't. As evidenced by us talking for 4 or 5 minutes with audio, we still don't know what we're doing.
Didn't realize the mic wouldn't know.
Yeah, you know.
So yeah, this has been bittersweet because I could not have done this without Michael. I still can't do it without him. He has kept me sane and employed. My baby has health insurance because of Michael. Because there have been plenty of times I've lost it at work and been like, he's like, well, maybe this happened. And I'm like, that may be true, but this still happened.
This still did happen. Yeah.
So we are going to miss you. I'm going to miss you personally, professionally, and just personally because it felt like, how do you kick somebody out the chat? Because these Diesel got to go.
What these things we're talking about?
MJ, Bird, or Magic, then Bird.
Leave these things alone.
Nah, man, he got to go. Him and the rest of them.
Oh, my homie from middle school and high school, Cheryl, in the chat.
Run the comments,
what up, girl?
Run the comments just got promoted. I don't know the what in the organization. But he said, Larry Bird is the greatest, no slander. Thank you. That man had no physical talent. He had no gifted skills. He was white, and he was still killing people.
Yeah, I'm going to miss these tangents for sure.
Just say it, man.
I'm definitely going to miss these tangents. So, yeah, we'll do something next week, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Friday? I don't know.
Yeah, it just depends on what your work schedule is.
Because to be fair, you know how to set this up?
Yeah.
Do you?
No.
Okay. It's real. Thank you to Anakin, unsung third partner News 19 Nerd, for giving us this new streaming setup. It's even easier now than it was before.
He did something right.
So all you do is hit stream, put me up there. So yeah, we could probably do something Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a pleasure. I want to thank you. we're gonna do something, guys. So I'm trying to see.
Manny Fresh. Wonderful.
Yeah, man. They said that Charlotte traffic, man.
Yeah. I mean, the way my schedule is, though, I will probably be missing most of it because I'm either going up after everybody's gone or getting off.
Or getting up, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yep. So, guys, really appreciate it. D. Steele said Leroy hates MJ and loves The Last Jedi. I do. Whoa. Damian Hernandez. Kick him out, too. How do we kick people out of this chat?
MJ is greater than Godzilla? Ooh. Man. Yeah. Ooh.
Hell?
That made me laugh.
The slander these people keep doing.
So we'll see y'all next week in some form or fashion.
Yeah, what got you through the week, man?
Oh yeah, crap. What am I playing now? Oh, still playing that 100-hour RPG Persona.
Yeah.
It's weird because it's very repetitive, the combat, but I'm a sucker for an anime cliche storyline, and they're kind of dealing with some interesting themes of kids rebelling against parents and or not parents but adults. It's kind of interesting. So that's kind of getting me through it. What was I watching? Oh, I don't know. You know who Tim Robinson is?
Yeah.
White dude, comedian.
Yeah, I know. He's weird.
He's weird, and he
just his new season just.
Yes. The show is definitely not for everybody because
it's not. Because I tried watching that first season, and
I get it. If you don't like it, I get it.
I could do a couple of skits.
Yeah.
And there were some of them I was like.
I really feel like the premise was, hey, let's try to just start a sketch with the premise and then make it go crazy every single time. And I feel like that's what they did. I enjoy that. If you enjoy that, I think you'll like it. But it's not a show for everybody. But the new season of I Think You Should Leave just came out on Netflix, and it's more the same.
For me, it was Narcos Mexico. I forgot that. I forgot about season 2. This is wrong, and I know it's gonna be wrong, but I understood what he was trying to build and trying to get all the plazas together to take on the Colombians and build something new, and people didn't understand it.
Okay.
I feel like that every day. I tried to watch Succession. Michael has been championing this show. Avery watches it. Also, the new Avery we got, I now have dubbed him White Avery. We already had, like, if you're here first, you get the name. If you are the second person, you get the last name, or we call you what you are. He is a White Avery. So, he's White Avery. Avery likes the show, and I tried to get into it. But I hated the people in Succession more than I did in Narcos. And I don't know what that says about me.
Yeah. I mean, it says you want to be a drug dealer, but I think...
I don't want to be a drug dealer. I like the drug dealer money. Oh, okay. I'm just saying that they were trying to build something where the people in Succession were trying to tear stuff down.
Okay.
They didn't appreciate a good leader. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So, guys, stay safe.